So far, I think it's been a very fun day of StarCraft. Hopefully, this will continue. In the top right side, we're looking at the main base of Mr. Mauer himself. It is showtime.
In the bottom left, as the blue Zerg, he is Serral.
You know, like, I go into a best of 3 like this without too many expectations, and I'm just kind of hoping for great games and to, you know, before people are like, what? It's Serral Showtime? That's so hype. It is hype, but it's also group stage. Like, yes, they are playing for $125, but for 100%, I absolutely believe that both of these players will make it out of the group and most likely will finish top 2 in this group. That doesn't mean I'm not excited, because of course I think it's going to be awesome, but I want to see another series of max packs right now or something, you know, because I'm like, oh, that was such a cool showing for him for the first time on the big stage, and I can't wait to see how he will perform in the rest of that group. Obviously, starting off with a loss is going to sting a little bit for the young Danish Protoss, but that got so close, and I think he can be pretty proud of that performance.
These guys, it's kind of a given they're getting out. You're right. Like, that's not really where the drama is. People aren't on the edge of their seats wondering which of these two amazing players makes it out 5th instead of 4th. Like, no, not really. But, you know, there always is that inherent story when it comes to Serral. Literally in, like, you know, best of ones that weren't, you know, the world title on the line type thing. People were still amazed and so excited when Serral actually finally went down. And so for it to happen in a best of 3 alongside, you know, the rest of the tournament, I mean, he's got a bounty on his head. He's always got it. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, we have to eventually be able to take this guy down, right? Because truly, you know, historically, you don't have people who are on the top this long, this reliably. And Serral, I mean, I was going to say he's the first one to do it, but he's one of the few who could do it. He's been good for 3 years and has never really faltered.
And for like 1 year of that, he was truly undefeated. And that's just something we never actually see. Like, nobody ever did that, like going undefeated for that long in that many tournaments, playing in Europe, playing, of course, in America back then when we had BlizzCon. And of course, having Korea as well, his little GSL versus the world adventure. For now, you know, he's still on top of the world, but he's been a little more beatable over the last year, I think we can say right now. And when I say beatable, I don't mean that anybody can show up and beat Serral, because that's absolutely not the case. But he's been human. He's been dropping series. He has not been winning every single tournament he participates in. And even had, do I dare to say it, a disappointing tournament performance with TSL 5. Like, that was a very early exit for Serral, and that's just something we haven't seen in forever.
That is a very good point. Happening earlier this year, and yeah, I did not expect him to go out before the finals. Basically, that's what you expect from Serral. But I guess, you know, when you compare him to the other guy who was doing really well in that particular year, 2018, Maru, it's like Maru has really you know, dived off for multiple reasons. I know he's got injuries and whatnot, but Serral is always reliably someone that you are kind of inherently like waiting to lose. Even if you're a big fan of Serral, you're kind of like, well, you know, it happens eventually, and it's always a big deal when it happens. At Showtime, he would love to finally have that happen. It's been like 15 series over 3 years, and he's lost every one of them. Like, come on now, it's got to be one time.
Yep, and we know that he's capable of doing it, because every now and then we'll see some ladder sessions either from Serral or more likely from Showtime. And they do face off against each other on the ladder, and Showtime absolutely is capable of defeating Serral on ladder, steal a whole bunch of his MMR. And besides the fact that they are obviously playing for $125 and an excellent start to this big round robin, don't forget that there's also that little side bonus of Aligalek points, which these guys, they do care about. And if Showtime is able to take Serral down here, well, he just boosts himself in that ranking by quite a bit.
I love it. Yeah, you're right. It's something that people, and pros especially, would like to be able to say, you know, number 1 Aligalek always feels good. Right now we have fairly typical openers, macro-oriented, but Serral is doing kind of what we saw from Stefano on this map in a similar opener from the Protoss, which is +1 melee. It's coming out here. Showtime just relying on the Stargate for some detection, some scouting. He did actually make a 3rd Oracle, so he'll want to do some damage with that. So far, he's found nothing. 2 queens in the main with the spore. Not gonna get very much there. Okay, 3 drones.
Yeah, that's the best he would have ever gotten there. Well done, I think, by Showtime, because I feel like a lesser Protoss would have ended up losing an Oracle there and only getting 2 drones. So great control, keeping the Phoenix alive as well. And now one more Oracle is going to show up in the natural. Is going to try to drop the stasis. Is Serral paying attention? That Oracle actually dropping it in range of the Spore Crawler. It will survive, as the Queen wasn't attacking it, but that was a little bit sloppy.
Yeah, definitely a mistake. So now he's going to have 2 sets of Oracles doing the harassment and then not much else. He had on a Robo, his one got an Immortal, but is on to the 3rd Nexus, Twilight Council, Forge, all the macro-oriented things. Maybe we'll see him move out later on down the line, but maybe not even that committed. So, it's what we expected.
Maybe he's doing it now, actually. When I think of the triple Oracle Phoenix opening, I always think back of like Stats and Zest at that one Home Story Cup, where Stats was actually able to defeat Serral with this build as well. I think it was Home Story Cup 18 or something along those lines. And it was often about keeping the Zerg very busy while being super annoying with Oracles. And then you move out with 1 Immortal, a couple of Sentries, and you try to deny that 4th hatchery. I just don't know if Showtime can really get that done here, though.
I mean, you're right. That's a perfect example to bring it up. Like, this can get a bop on a 4th hatch or a couple of queens even, but of course it's not super committed as you have no Warp Prism and no way to instantly reinforce. But bringing the Oracles in as part of the action is actually adding just a little bit more. He saves that 1 Oracle. I still don't think the hatchery can actually die. I got 22 more Lings on the way. It doesn't die, but now the question is he overstaying his welcome? 2 more queens could go down? Ooh.
Yep, the force fields on the queens have been excellent. Now 3 queens have already gone down, but now more queens will start showing up, and the Zergling count is really getting there as well. Can you keep the Oracle alive, Showtime? Like the answer is yes. He's going to recall out, but not before losing 1 sentry. He was very close to losing a second one there as well. That did not work out, because that move out is honestly just meant and designed to kill that hatchery. Not getting the kill on that hatch, I honestly think it just doesn't make it a success for Showtime.
Yeah, I definitely get that. It's hard to call it a success, but it's hard to call it a failure. Like, of course, getting the 3rd hatch is amazing because it's also so far invested into. It's not bopping a 22nd hatch. It's bopping 1 close to being done. But he got 3 queens, a handful of Lings, and 7 drones, while losing, I mean, I would say the bare minimum for how long he stayed there, because I did think he was overstaying his welcome. I was kind of scared. Reese's loss definitely in favor of Showtime, who, as we expect, was macroing very well behind this, fully saturated, and has a potential follow-up already ready to go. He's actually there. He is. He's already ready to go.
There he is. Yes, he is showing up at the front door of Serral, but that Hydra count is already getting there. We've got a couple of Banelings in the mix as well, and this is not a super intimidating Protoss army. It's like, yes, there is a lot of HP in it, but not a lot of micro potential. Those 2 Archons that Immortal. And I think Showtime very wisely is disengaging. Like, if he's forcing out all these units while Serral is hovering around 66 or 68 drones, I'm like, yeah, all of this is really good, but Serral's economy is already where you want it to be. And then on top of that, the upgrades of Showtime, the real tech, it's not that early. It's not late, because he is getting Storm. He is working on +2, but he's definitely not rushing all of it out.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, despite any maneuvers to try and interrupt each other, or certainly Showtime interrupting Serral, it's still the expected result. Macro game, 5 bases for Serral against Showtime's 4. Creep spread not really being delayed. It was a little bit on the right side, but the left side just got to do whatever it wanted. And now Showtime is going to have to take an actual engagement against, potentially max out Baneling Hydra. And then we can talk about potential for Hive tech later on. So that's still really comes into play. How good are the engagements?
There's a Dropper Lord morphing as well, and +2 is about to finish up for these Banelings, and we all know what Banelings like to do to worker lines. The moment that they do get that +2, 1 Phoenix is not enough to shut that down. I feel like this is a very scary phase in the game for Showtime. What's up with the Oracles? What are they doing? Are they dropping any stasis traps or anything? I'm surprised that he's not even tagging this army.
Yeah, I understood bringing them back to defend the 4th against any pesky Ling run by, but he hasn't used them in the last couple of minutes, so he should be using the caster relation.
Showtime just went for the most defensive warping ever, all the way in the bottom right side of the map. Guess what? Serral had 5 Hydras there. He's probably like, oh, come on! What are they doing in the bottom right side? This is obviously a very strong defensive setup, and this is a map where it's a little bit hard to get the job done. The finishing blow with Ling Hydra Bane but Serral almost has hive tech done already. Like, Serral is always so smooth when it comes to hitting his transitions.
Yes, he is. I mean, they both are getting set up rather well. No extreme damage has been done on either side, though that might change as Serral runs in a couple banelings, grabs a couple of probes, and does have plans to do overlord drops, and apparently these lings got in. But we're moving on to the late stage, and who is better in that position? Historically, we're going to say Serral.
Dropper with a couple of banelings. Obviously, the Dropper did take some damage, but there's a lot of probes here. They're all very clumped up because of that cannon, and that is minus 15 probes. And I obviously agree with you. I think Showtime obviously is great at late game as well, but does Serral really have a weakness when it comes to like controlling different armies and hydroling Bane? Is Serral weak with Vipers? Absolutely not. Is his corruptor control a bit shaky? Nope. So I don't know. I'm definitely with you on that one. I just favor Serral.
Yeah. Question is, does Serral have a weakness in a normal macro game? Doesn't seem like he has much of one. That was a bit of an odd move out. That was supposed to not find a perfect response from the Zerg, and instead it did. Which is just, again, that feels bad. What can I even do against this guy? Showtime will want to be bleeding off units eventually for better trades to transition into air, but these aren't the trades I think he was hoping for. It's actually just going entirely in favor of Serral every time he moves out.
Yep, all the Zealots getting blown up there as well with just a couple of banelings. Serral doing a really good job in dividing his army, just having the right amount of units on the right side, having the right amount of units on the left side as well. And Showtime is actually going to open up with the Tempest here, which I find a little bit surprising. I would have expected Carriers, but Tempest it is.
Well, since it's one of the bigger tournaments, happened since the patch, I mean, we got to explain what the Tempests have to offer now. They now have a spell that works against the, well, ideally against the Spore Crawlers, but against buildings in general, with Blizzard stating that they wanted to take away the option of a Spore Crawler forest, which is great because that can be an issue in late game ZVP, but it seems like one of the last issues. Like, it seems there's so much more that's happening in late game ZVP than those Spore Crawler forests. So I don't know if that's the reason he's opening up with them, where he just actually wants that range first and foremost. But they've been questionable in the past. This is not a great fight in the right side. Lots of heavy gas units going down. Zealots running into a massacre, really. Kind of odd.
So many High Templars have gone down already. Only a single High Templar is left, and this base all of a sudden feels very exposed. Even the Oracles are going to have to show up to help out there. Showtime will clean this up. The Templars are obviously pretty good in these kinds of fights against the Hydras. The problem is that Serral right now can just easily make 12, 14 Corruptors. And then I think all of a sudden these Templars are going to feel very useless, as the Templars are already being engaged on by not 12 Corruptors. It's just 5 or 6. And here we can see how weak the Templars can be if they are exposed. And of course, Serral is going to get 2 out of 3.
I think there was a better chance there on the defense. Showtime was kind of awkward. Units on the right, units on the left, and I didn't really seem that well. Be going that well, and then he decides to try and move out. Maybe if it had gone better, the move out would have been a little scarier, but Serral, even with a low number of Corruptors, takes out any form of a move out. And now it's once again Serral in the driver's seat, attacking into Showtime's 5 bases, which are going to supply him with a decent economy for a while, but it feels like it's a matter of time before Serral either cracks him or just outpowers him with economy.
Yep, the Baning still being annoying as well. I gotta say, Showtime has done a really good job in keeping his eye on the minimap and avoiding these Banings from really connecting. Overcharged battery going down as well, but that battery will go down immediately. This is kind of a weird fight for Serral though, because he's still running into a lot of storms. It does seem that Showtime is out of storms at this point, but what does Serral really have left other than a couple of Hydras and Lynx? I gotta say, Showtime living up to his nickname, Demourer. This truly does feel like a wall. I don't like that he's going out this far though. Why is he here? Go back to the battery.
Mistake there for sure. Loses a handful of units that, I mean, weren't the most expensive, but didn't want to lose them, that's for sure. Showtime, I guess he keeps on seeing this potential, right? He keeps on seeing like Hydras left over and says, oh, just Hydras, no protection. Like, I'm going to try and do this. And that doesn't work out. On top of him being distracted, it seems, at really critical moments. So yeah, he's also just letting his units kind of get AI'd on top of better units. So I mean, Showtime, he's keeping even at around 150 supply, enough to certainly defend. He's not been in a position to actually move out, and he's not really been in a position to transfer over into Stargates and air toss. He is stuck here.
Yep, Serral is just relentless this game when it comes to the aggression. The Corruptors were able to take out the Nexus before. This is a little bit of a move command as a couple of Hydras and Banes are in an awkward position, but now a lot of Zerglings coming in from the right. Is this an engagement that Serral really wants to take? Good job by the Archons protecting the High Templars, but there are still Banelings left. And eventually the High Templars do go down. Serral is just a monster, Zombie Glove.
Yeah, he always catches Showtime just a little bit too few units on the defense. I mean, Showtime's trying his best to split up and not take any further damage just by run-bys, and it feels like every time he just doesn't quite have enough on either side. So he either loses expensive units like High Templars, or he loses a Nexus or a bunch of probes, which is probably going to happen again here as he's forced to respond with Zealots. Serral is already setting up for the 5th, 6th, 7th attack of Ling Baneling Hydra. Despite the kind of passive 13 minutes of this game, there is actually... Oh, God. Oh, yeah. No, you're good. You're good. That was really important.
Those are the only ones that he had, and they were all just kind of traveling by themselves. Showtime is finally going to try to do a little bit of harass, but look how insane Serral is. Somehow just finds that immediately, has a couple of Zerglings in the bottom right side. And Showtime is once again trying to hold on just a little bit longer, but a few of these Banes do blow up his High Templars one more time. 20 High Templars have gone down in this game. Those are not High Templars that were morphed into Archons. No, those were just regular High Templars. And at this point, Serral's like, well, seems like you stopped building Tempest. Let's make 7 Broodlords and let's get this over with.
And Showtime knows he's pretty much dead, whether it be from the maxed out Ling Baneling Hydra army or from these Broodlords making. That's going to show up and probably cause the GG. If this Ling run by doesn't, never really truly blocking that off. They're going to get into that 3rd base. Showtime might be mining off of 5 bases, but there's been constant trades. So he's never had a comfortable bank. He's never had a comfortable army supply. And he certainly has never gotten up to more Tempests. Serral, he's moving those Broodlords in.
Wow.
Doesn't even see him. Taps out then and there.
Okay, that was actually an amazing performance by Serral because it was against Showtime. Like, if that is Serral against any of the top 15 Protosses in Europe, we're like, oh yeah, whatever, we're expecting this kind of gameplay. This wasn't even Showtime playing a poor game, it's just that Serral is playing at such an insane pace. He's keeping Showtime so busy with defending, pulling workers away non-stop from every Baneling run by, from the Baneling drops, and then making sure the High Templars are not too exposed, that Showtime can't even think about harassing. And that is so insane, right? Because when we watch Showtime play against any other Zerg that's not Serral or Raynor, non-stop War Prisms in the main base, non-stop Zealot run-bys, being annoying, Oracle still finding some damage here and there. It's just that the pace that Serral is playing these games at is keeping his opponents so busy that they're only worried about defending and they just can't find the APM to actually think about dealing damage on the other side of the map.
And then when it is an opportunity that nothing much has happened and you can still be a little bit in the driver's seat, Serral seems to be prepared at every angle. I mean, the War Prism in the bottom right going down, why would that go down? The attack in the middle left, the kind of odd one, but still it should have found Creep Tumors alone, found a perfectly sized army ready to combat it. Like, Serral is just predicting everything Showtime's doing. And Showtime is not a slow player. He's not a player that doesn't harass. You watch him against other Zergs, and he's every which way.
Yeah.
But it is like these, like everyone else is here, Showtime's here, and then Serral's up here, and you're like, oh my god, how do you get that high? And perhaps by starting things off a little bit differently in the opener, Showtime tries to play to his strength macro. Maybe something different here.
Yeah, I mean, the triple Oracle opening is something that found success against Serral in the past, but Serral obviously learns from builds that he loses against as well, and now realized, like, all right, I need to build that fort base just a little bit quicker so it has way more HP, because in some of those games that I think back of when we first saw this build pop up, that hatchery was only just starting or was only halfway done, and then a single Immortal, a couple force fields, if you just get one cancel on that fort hatchery from the Zerg, then all of a sudden, hey, 3 base against 3 base is not all that bad for you as a Protoss. But Serral realizing that that is something that he can't afford, and he keeps that hatchery alive. And from that point on, he's like, all right, we're having a normal game. I hope Showtime does something wild game 2. Open up with a Stargate, make like 1 Phoenix, 1 Void Ray, 8 gate Zealot +1. All in him, Showtime. Come on. Put him on tilt. Just something out of the ordinary. I don't know. But like those normal standard games, Serral is just an absolute monster.
And we are on Pillars of Gold for game number 2. In the bottom left, the absolute monster up 1. He is Serral.
And in the top right side, we're looking at the main base of the German Protoss. Mr. Mauer, normally representing Team Big. Now also a little bit of the Grubba Lubba Dub Dubs. Still, it is Showtime.
Yeah. Well, that was a painful team league, man. But still like
It
the
was so
choices.
much fun. So much fun. I just can't stand that Benny and the boys won it, though. I'm still not over that part. Everything else I absolutely loved.
Never gonna get over it. The I guess you're looking forward to casting with the Muslim down the line. It'll
Yeah,
never
he's
pop
good.
up.
Oh my goodness, he's gonna have way too much fun. I might just be sick. Might just call in sick that day.
Wow, that team league was a lot of fun. It really did take the might of every player from every team to tackle Serral. It took everyone to try and tackle Raider, and that kid actually never lost a map. So these guys, they're just pretty good, you know? Even though Serral lost a couple of games overall, but still pretty unbeatable. And some of those games, let's be real, like the Battlecruiser game from TY. Serral, like other Zergs, can sometimes be scratching his head and going, what the heck? And then be forced out of a game before 10 minutes. That's probably where he is quote unquote weak, because I don't really think it's a weakness, but it's maybe the best chance he got as opposed to bring it to the late game, especially in this matchup, right? I still feel like, yeah, we don't really get even late games that often, and something always happens beforehand, and also the power of Serral and what he's shown against players like Showtime. You brought up stats. That's the best, direct comparison of Europe to Korea there. Serral learned from stats, beat stats, and then has beaten stats and Showtime every time since CVP. Not too much of an issue unless you throw Adepts at him by a surprise. But you know what's not a surprise anymore? Adepts are no longer a surprise. Like someone that knows. Like who even cares? Serral doesn't care.
Yeah, it's funny to think back of certain tournaments, because before you even brought up the Adepts, I was thinking of it like, man, Katowice is obviously still that tournament that Serral is missing, right? That one victory that I feel like he really needs to have the absolute crowning achievement on top of his career, other than the fact that he already won BlizzCon. And it's like, man, it'd be so funny, because if Katowice was played right now, that Adept build wouldn't really get much done against Serral. Like, he's so incredibly good against it already. He has an excellent read on it, knows exactly what to do. But back then it was brand new, and it's like, it's like the timing of that build popping up, it just kind of completely ruined Serral's chances of winning that tournament.
Ah, yes. Remember when we were both saying, no way, it's absolutely going to be Serral in the finals. Don't even bother. It doesn't matter. And Cess wins. But anyways, that's in the past. Absolutely, Serral is fine against that build nowadays. Showtime did show a Twilight Council to the Overlord. He didn't really seem to care that it was going to be seen by the Overlord. And it is going to be a Dark Shrine Archon drop.
Well, maybe he's gonna get a little feisty and keep them as Dark Templars at first, and hoping that Serral doesn't read into things correctly, and maybe that Spore Crawl is a little bit late, but who am I kidding? Most of the time, nothing is really late on the side of Serral. We'll keep a close eye on it. Did Serral actually go into the main base? Because obviously, if you would see the gases, that'd be a little bit of a tell. So far, we don't really see anything on Serral's side that gives us an indication that he's aware of the fact that these are Dark Templars heading his way. He's building a spine. He's actually reading this as Adepts.
There we go. That's the confirmation I think we're both waiting for. It's like, okay, what is he thinking? And that spine crawler is absolutely used against Adepts, not against the DTs or Archon drop. Now, the best case scenario for Showtime is that Serral doesn't make a Spore Crawler at all because he really thinks he's correct. But that's unlikely. Most Zergs are making a Spore Crawler because the Dark Shrine follow-up is pretty common. And there they go now. They will be appropriately timed. Now it's just, okay, how much damage can the DTs or Archon do?
Yeah, do you maybe just... He's gonna, I think, go for the Dark Templar weapon in the main base, but that Spore Crawler is already more than halfway done. Oh, this can actually get really ugly. If Showtime commits to it, I don't think he's gonna get that Spore. You can't get that Spore. Careful with the DTs, please. Oh, get the Queen. That's not bad.
All right. Oh, the Lings are responding to the Adepts on the right side, so the Queens were a little left alone. And one goes down, the second one will not. DTs do survive. Adepts did not get anything on the other side of the map, which kind of... It's unfortunate. They were hoping for maybe a couple of drones, but while the resources lost is in favor of Showtime, Serral really didn't lose very much there.
Nope. And now he's got the Spore Crawlers in all the right positions as well. Even managed to cancel that spine, by the way, so he had such a good read on the build the moment it actually started moving out. And that is impressive to see as well. Now 7 roaches on the way are obviously going to keep Serral safe against the Archon harassment. Kind of just wonder, I guess from this point on, it's just happy macroing for both sides. The problem is that Showtime, his Nexus is quite a bit later, obviously, than Serral's hatcheries. And I think that Serral is going to be able to create a decent economic lead for himself.
And Serral is totally prepared in that main base. Queens and roaches helping protect each other. Showtime did add in one DT, I guess, to hope and find something not being defended, which was kind of cool. Maybe it can, but I mean, I don't even actually know what it's doing. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. Using it to clear up creep. Huh.
The invisible army is heading your way. I like it. All right. Archons in the main base will find an Overlord. All of these little things do add up, but especially that Dark Templar that is now able to already pick up its 4th creep tumor. Let's go. That's going to take away some of that vision from Serral and makes it a little bit harder to keep track of where that War Prism is heading as well. And that's a really cool little move by Showtime. I like it a lot.
Now, the Archons could also be doing that, but the really nice thing is that you have 2 things happening now. The Archons are one place, DT's in another. They somewhat, can't respond to both, but now it is the Archons clearing up the rest of the creep. DT has gone home, I guess, to do something else very important, but it is all macro. Hydralisk 10 on the way for Serral. No Bailey Nest this game, at least not yet. And Showtime is trying to get that really good scout, I mean, especially with the threat of a Spire still in this matchup, but he's going to see maybe something that's a little more, I don't know, I want to say it's easy because no game against Serral is easy, but it's Roach Hydra, right? It's a little bit calmer, it's not as mobile, and it's not quite going to be that like that last game.
When I see Overlord speed being researched right now, though, I'm starting to get the feeling that we might get like a little Zerg invasion in the main base of Showtime. Like 7, 8 Dropalords picking up a whole bunch of Roaches and Hydras, because just Roach Hydra, straight up running into Protoss armies, that often doesn't get the job done. There's a reason why we did that in 2011, 2012, but we don't really do that anymore. So I have the feeling that if Serral wants to stay on this composition, we're probably going to see some funky play with a lot of Dropalords.
This attack hitting a little bit faster than maybe is usual. It doesn't have, it has blink, it doesn't have +1. Not a whole lot of force fields are available, and that is a lot of Roach Ravager. Showtime maybe over-investing, wanted to go for the Enforcement, realized he cannot do it, so he's just gonna micro instead. What does he save? I guess the 2 Immortals from this, right? That did not go well at all.
Yeah, Showtime wondering, why do you have that many units here? You're not supposed to have that many units. I mean, he had blink. The problem is he had like 4 Stalkers, so then at that point having blink is also not that useful. Serral feels free right now to get a few more drones. He is losing a couple of drones against the random Dark Templar on the bottom side of the map. He's got 3 drone kills, that's kind of cool. But now obviously Serral's on 4 bases, and he's going to be able to get an economy that he's truly been looking for. I want to see all the Dropalords. I feel it. I want to see any. Oh, he already has them on the right side. They're just not Dropalords yet.
Not yet, but I do think that is the plan. I remember back when Nerdtrio was still playing competitively, he was a big fan of this. So it is an older style that you might not be anticipating, but it feels like whether Serral moves in towards the fronts and just tries to kill him or moves into the main, either one is going to be a pretty good option. And now Showtime has to defend both with a reduced army supply.
Losing an Observer makes it extra painful, right? Because then you can't keep track of this army. The Dropalords are right now empty. There's one probe that's actually about to spot this, I think. Warping in a Nexus. Well, that Nexus is actually going to get cancelled. Well done. Immediately, Showtime warping in a couple of Stalkers in the main base, realizing what's up. Serral only picked up just 3 Roaches and is mostly still focusing on the head-on engagement. But with Storms, I actually think Showtime should be fine there.
Yeah, but you realize Showtime realizes the threats. It could always be, 1 week overload's not going to get target fired. DTs might be a decent option to help defend this as well. I don't see an Overseer in the mix, but perhaps I'm thinking about it. Is just trying to warp in a decent number of Stalkers and split his army correctly while also knowing there's another army to the left side. It's not the worst split, but Showtime's losing a couple of expensive units, and the left side, that's still a big question mark. Is it actually going to hold?
I think you made a really good point about the DTs. There was an Overseer, but it's left behind in the center of the map, or it's not with that army on the left. So 1 or 2 DTs in the main base would have really made Showtime's life so much easier. Eventually, he will clean this up, and he does warp in 1 DT finally, but not before losing quite a few units, and this just felt a little bit harder than it really had to be.
Exactly. It was just more difficult. He lost a lot of units. And got a couple of his structures depowered. Fortunately, it wasn't his +2, so that is going to finish far ahead of Serral's +2. But what happens after Roach Hydra is going to be into Lurkers, and I'm not sure Showtime really has the map presence to defeat lurkers and what is going to be upgraded lurkers with a hive also on the way. And you really want to be not just in a okay position, but also kind of the one bullying the Zerg before they get to 8, 10 lurkers. It's Serral bullying Showtime.
I am happy to see this kind of stuff, though, as we see another big drop heading into the main base. You know, often people are a bit critical of this match, and they're like, Zerg just makes banelings. It's always banelings. You can't really do anything else. Well, Serral is showing us that you can still have some fun with the drop lords as well, and the roaches and Hydras. We have an engagement on the left side as well. Serral doesn't have that many units there, though, so he has to be a little bit careful, because I'm not sure. He's definitely not winning that fight in range of overcharged batteries, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Immortal in the main's really quite helpful, but the extra storm's going to be even more helpful. Going to be able to take out, I think, the majority, if not entire army. The Overlords are not going to choose to pick that up. The left side, though, oh no, the AI.
Yep.
Oh, got so many Immortals.
Yep, Showtime chased that army a little too far out, went up to the high ground, and all of a sudden 12 Hydras were waiting there with their machine guns, and they started gunning down a couple of Immortals real quick. I think Showtime lost 2 of them and 1 High Templar or so in the mix. I mean, Showtime is hanging in there, but obviously, once again, like, when is the last time that Showtime was on the other side of the map? When did he try to kill drones? When did he try to get a War Prism in the main base? So Serral's space is just a little bit too high, and it just seems that Showtime is having some issues in keeping up. Like, yeah, he can defend, but that's the one thing that he's focusing on, and if you're never harassing Serral, if you're not attacking him, if you're not slowing him down, then you're just playing Serral's game, and Serral's is having way too much fun right now.
Showtime has lost 5 Immortals throughout this drop, harassment, defense, and those Immortals would have been really helpful against the Lurkers. Serral, of course, went for the range first and is now working on the speed burrow. They are going to be fully upgraded, and they are certainly going to deny this 4th. Showtime desperately needs a 4th, or he needs to start taking really much better trades. He's partially defended for that main base again, so that's not going to catch him out of position. But how do you deal with the Lurkers?
Yeah, if the Stalkers blink here, this could get feisty. Can Serral actually get all of his Lurkers out? To blink, but it's just a little bit too late. And now Showtime is going to be forced to recall. I really hope he recalls an Observer in the mix as well. There is an Observer on top of that Nexus. So Showtime should actually be able to clean this up. Can he get a forward blink? Yes, but he guns down the empty Overlord. He does get the second one that was carrying 2 Lurkers. But now he's super far off position, and the High Templars will get surrounded by the Zerglings. When are we going to nerf this guy, Zombie Grub? Isn't it time?
Yeah, seriously. Well, you're bringing up how, like, oh, at least it's not, just Banelings. And I was thinking, well, now the balance team has another problem. They can't just nerf Banelings. They have to nerf something else. Serral is too good with this race, man. And while Showtime is doing a fantastic job holding and really living up to his name, he needs a 4th base. And he needs to always be prepared to take a fight against the Lurkers. Once they get into a decent position in decent numbers, 8 more Lurkers are on the way. You don't crack that unless you force them to move, which at least he's doing here by moving out. Maybe a bit desperate. He finds those 8 Lurkers. Oh, he can't really move past that.
This is the kind of game where I truly wish we had some first-person view coming out of Serral. I'd love to see how this looks from his point of view. It must be astonishing, honestly. Like, can't even imagine what he's looking at. I feel like most of the time he's not even really looking at anything. It's just like pop, 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 pop. An absolute machine, doing everything so quick. He is maxed out. Showtime seems like he's had enough of turtling on 3 bases. He's gonna try to make something happen, but I look at this army, and this is not the kind of army you want to have 14 minutes into the game. It's mostly Zealots.
Yeah, I would love to see those Zealots split up, maybe, hitting 3 different places at once. But Serral has defended his left base with a Lurker. He'd have to get a couple of DTs over there. And is also attacking Showtime's left base with Lurkers. So
Showtime DTs on the Lurkers. Top left side. Like, there is no overseer there.
Oh my god. No, there's 1 Lurker in every base of Showtime right now.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Serral, stop it! Showtime's really had enough of this game. He's gonna try to jump on the main army, and this seems like a decent engagement at first, but there are so many Zerglings coming in from the other side, and a few Lurkers are still standing strong. That is going to be it. GG gets called.